Hello and welcome to Stampscapes Live. We're going to try a half-page mirror card, okay? So what that means is, or a reflection card, just going with a half-page piece up top and a reflective area down below. The difference between this and a horizon card is I don't use the reflective area down below. But anyways, we have some large stamps that that are in the mystic line, so it's pretty conducive for some larger pieces should you wish to do larger format pieces. But of course, everything's designed around the quarter page card as well. You just don't use, the same amount of each design when incorporating them into your pieces. All right, so I'm just going to keep this really simple, and I'm just going to be going with some StazOn black for all of my impressions here. And the mystic trees left and right will flank my lower portion of the top piece of this reflection card. I'm going to be kind of mopping off some of the ink off the bottom portion of this stamp because everything looks kind of interesting when it's in mist. Looks like I got a little print there, so I'll use that one right there as my bottom portion. Usually when I'm doing these reflection cards, I have kind of a darker base for this top portion as it transitions into the lower reflective area, but because these are kind of the binding kind of element to these Mystic series stamps, if you don't have to use them this way, but it can just be the negative space of your paper, which it makes it like the easiest scenes that you can possibly do, because you don't have to link everything up through other imagery, tone, or color, or texture, okay? It's just like the white of the paper and it looks normal, okay? Let's see. I think that's the last time I'll use this big one in this scene here. Hello, Sandy Candy, Julie, and Bugs. Good to see you. I don't know if you're the first here. You might have been, well, you're the second to post. I take it you have the, everyone in these live streams probably has the notification bell clicked. So thanks for subscribing and having that notification set. It's always kind of fun to stamp with some others after, decades of stamping by myself. Besides at shows or, workshops and conventions. Really not workshops so much, but conventions and retreats, I should say. Okay, so Mystic Trees, right? All right. I mean, you can use these. Keep in mind, don't just, use the left one for the left side and the right one for the right side. This one could have been stamped over here, and you could use this portion here coming in from the right side as well. That's the way these have been designed. All right, so that one is coming in from there, and let me get enough of this StazOn off as I can, then I'll get the rest of it later. Okay, I think, let me see, I was going to use the same block for the bamboo branch here later. Or do I need this block for my mountain? I need this block for my mountain first. I have to kind of, I'm using so many stamps off the new line for these scenes. I'm usually not having to, I don't know, use the same block like 3 or 4 times in one card like I am now. So I'm thinking about getting another couple blocks with the tack and peel on it. Hello, Beth. Good to have you. Good to have you back. Okay, so for those that just logged in, this is going to be a reflection card, so it's looking like this so far, right? Isn't that cool? I just love that look. We're done with the card. But I don't know. I mean, when you put that reflection down there, it's like you did 4 impressions, right? 4, or 2 mirrored impressions. So that mirrored area really, it kind of expedites the entire, I guess, layered look of a scene in general. I think it makes it really easy for us. Should you wish to employ the technique. Okay, so this is the Mystic Hills left and right. It's kind of designed to go right here, but I'm thinking about putting it over a little bit like that. Okay, so I'm really going to mop off the perimeter of this. Now, this one right here, the Mystic Hills, can be used like this. See how these two match up like that? They go like that, but you can place them back to back like that. So if I do stamp this one over a bit like that, or where I have this blank space over there, you can always use this one to connect to it, okay? And that's the way that those have been, conceived. And if you want to see, a lot of the different types of usages, initial usages, there's the stamp sketching preliminary kind of, whatever exploration video that I did before. Okay, I'm going to make these ones really light, or try to, okay? So I'm going to blot it off once, and then, like I said, I'll kind of wipe off the perimeter like this. And then StazOn's really drying fast, so I have to get to it. Unlike dye bastings, you can blot it off once and wait for, however long you want to, and it's not going to dry, but you better get this impression done quickly if it's with the StazOn ink. So hello, Linda. Hello, Kay. Hello, Crimson Rose. Good afternoon to you. Okay, so that is that. I think I might use this one again here. I'm going to do that back to back, I think, on here. I mean, we might as well. It's not going to take very much time to do it all. But let's see here. See, I have to keep removing stamps off my blocks here. Okay, let's go with something like this. Okay. And right here, where it's going to this one, of course, this one's going to be the secondary, or whatever, secondary impression. So it should be nice and light, just like that one. Now you can do this with your dye basting too, or whatever your favorite ink is. Okay, I'm just using the StazOn because I want to use my watercolor pencil with this one, which isn't necessarily the most efficient, I mean, in terms of time, but I'm really enjoying just kind of playing around with my watercolor pencil, just kind of exploring it, just because I haven't really used them in the past. And I want to practice a little bit with it. Okay, so see that right there? And we'll keep this one on the block right here. I wonder if I can go for a third impression. Let me just see if I could have. I'm not going to try it. Yeah, that one's almost too light here. So if it was a dye-based ink, I think I could have just used that same inking and gone over here and filled that out. But I think it's just it's too dry with the StazOn ink. Okay, so see that just kind of fills in right there. And let's go back to this one and ink up, blot, and stamp. Blot and stamp. It sounds like a product. All right. All right, so here's the little tricky thing here. It's not super tricky, though. You're just going to do the same thing. But if these images right here represent a certain distance from the viewer, okay, you have to kind of decide if you want to go dark, light, dark, or dark, lighter, lightest at the distance, okay? One way is going to probably push it up a little bit more, and I'm talking about these mountains that are going to be used in the background. But the other way can, describe distance as well. You know, you kind of oscillate your lights and darks through the imagery themselves. It just depends. Do you want the mountains to look a little bit more? Do you want them to stand out a little bit more? Or do you want them kind of recessed in the distance? But let's take a look. I don't know if it's going to matter in terms of this reflective area down here or not, but see like this? See, that's how you'll be viewing it. And the mountains will kind of be right up here. And the ideal kind of viewing is not like this. You know, you want to, you know, the viewing angle is something like this. So see, the mountains are going to be right in here anyway. So you're not really going to be able to see them in the reflective area. You know, so, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, what you do up there. So you can just kind of stamp them with this top section in mind and not be kind of influenced so much by how they will reflect, okay? So that's the type of thing that I look at or think about, you know, for like 10 seconds, I don't know, or I don't know, 2 seconds maybe, when I'm stamping something out like that in a reflection card. I think I'm going to go a little bit lighter though, okay? So we'll stamp out, and let's see. Go over here like so. All right, and what I'm looking at right here is if I'd want another larger form right in here or the smaller one. I think I'm going to go for the smaller one so it looks like you're going back in distance right here. I'm also considering that red sun type of thing. I don't remember if I did that in my other reflection. I don't think I did, you know, with these images. So if I do that sun, I need to, you know, go fairly low with this, or just off to the side. That sun ball that I have, that 1-inch hole punch, could fit right in here. If I go like this, then maybe. Yeah, but then if I did that, maybe I should have this underneath here like that. I think that would be better. I'm kind of leaning towards the that little red sun in there, sunrise or whatever. This is just such a big composition. I thought, well, maybe it'd be good if we had that type of element in here in the sky just to vary the, I don't know, whatever look of it, I guess. So how is everyone this afternoon? I hope you're all well. Hope you're all getting some stamping time in. Have Mother's Day coming up pretty soon. All right. Tiny rock small. Sometimes I forget to add this one in, but it really adds a nice little element to the scenes, I think. So I'll blot it off a little bit. I'm going to add some of it down right at the base. It's tricky doing it with the StazOn ink because it dries so fast. So I don't get too many impressions with this. Lighter impressions. I'm looking for the lighter ones. And it kind of creates the shallows right around, you know, the base of my objects where they transition into, you know, probably deeper water, or what would represent deeper water. All right, so we have that. Now, I wonder if I should stamp out my boats or kind of focal points in there right now. And I'm wondering if I should do the... Let me see if this is even going to fit here. I thought it'd be cool if this sunrise is reflecting down in that water area down here, but it's, it's not going to do that. So I would have to stamp it like way down here in the composition. And of course you don't do that, in front of your objects, but I think something like that. It'd be better if it's just kind of rising from behind the mountain like that. See that right there? But I'm not sure if I feel like taking the time to mask that off, because it would take like, 20 seconds to do. Okay, I think I'm going to go with the watercolors first. Okay, see, I don't know what to do here because I haven't been doing like watercolor effects like for a long time, so I'm not quite sure if I should lay down that water before I do certain things or not, just from lack of experience. So, yeah. You have 100 blocks in various sizes. Wow, that's a lot there, Linda. Do you really have that many? And do you mount up your stamps before you start a scene with that many blocks there? Inktense water blocks. Someone sent me some of those. Yeah. They're right here. And I haven't I think I might have used them once. KP from, that does the Art Foamies sent me a pack of those. And I need to explore those as well. Okay, so we're going to do toning on our mountain backgrounds in here. Dark top, lighter bases, okay, because it's supposed to look like that mist is coming from the base of these objects here. So this is where my practice is needed here, or more practice is needed here, okay? Because see, it's easy to do this, kind of on darker impressions down here, because I can go really dark, because it's only going to get to black, right? But when you're doing these distant objects are lighter in value here. I don't want to take this too dark, right? In this case, I mean, there's a high tolerance area. It's not like, oh my God, I took it accidentally, 3 or 5 percentage points darker than it should have been, or something like that. But I do want to, in this case, because I stamped everything for dark, lighter, lightest type of thing, I do want to use that value convention to represent depth. So that being said, I don't want to go too dark with this. And it's easy for me to see how dark I can take this watercolor pencil. I am using the watercolor pencil, right? One time I accidentally used my colored pencil when I thought I was doing the watercolor pencil. But, these watercolors get darker when you add water to them. So, or more intense, more vibrant. So I'll probably apply a little bit of a lighter amount than what my eye is usually telling me to do with other types of media. Okay. And like I say, this might look better just with colored pencils, but like I said, I want to play around with these watercolors here. Those Chinese ink paintings, they're done with brush work and everything like that. And there's that really kind of, that watercolory type of look in terms of washes when they create these types of paintings and whatnot. And I really like that look, and I want to try to kind of eventually get some sort of, I don't know, whatever version of that in my stamped pieces, if I can. Okay, I'm kind of varying it a little bit more. I was looking at this up here and this down here, and it's like the same kind of value. So I'm going to tweak it a little bit. Maybe make these mid ones a little bit darker, and maybe some of the tops a little bit darker up top here. Okay, I'm going to do something on the bottom one too that I haven't done in a while. I'm going to add some white pigment ink down here. I usually haven't been doing that lately because I have to spray seal this, but I'll just mask it off. But I want to do a cliff down here and, you know, put some trees on here like we're looking off kind of a higher elevation up here. So I'm looking forward to doing that. With this particular composition here. You know, it's basically grayscale. I've been enjoying seeing everyone's pieces, anyone here that's on Facebook. It's been really cool watching what people are doing compositionally, technique-wise, etc., using these new stamps. It's really fun to watch. People kind of incorporate their own compositions and whatever aesthetic sensibilities into the pieces. And of course, I see usages of the designs all the time, with the new designs and the old designs that, you know, I really hadn't thought of before. So to everyone, thanks for sharing. Always exciting and stimulating. It makes me want to, every time I see something, jump onto Facebook. It's like, oh, I gotta try, you know, that or whatever. Someone just posted a triptych using the stamps, and I thought, oh my God, that looks really awesome. So there were three, I don't know, roughly quarter-size page cards together. All really nice individual compositions, but that they were designed to be kind of viewed as one piece. I thought, oh, doing it that way, it really kind of opened up some possibilities of having like boats, you know, where having one, you know, or two or three boats in one composition, but you can have like a triptych where there's separate compositions, so you can use multiple kind of focal points, you know, where it might be too much in one scene, but in three scenes that are kind of meant to be viewed together, it worked, you know, just fine. It didn't clutter one scene, but because they were separated, yeah, it's like a really good opportunity for certain compositional types of considerations. Oh, you have a stamp image and cut it out, so I have a template for a shadow. That is so awesome. No wonder your pieces are so awesome. You're like really prepped. All right, so everything's a little bit scratchy, and you know what I mean. That's something that I'm kind of getting used to too, because normally when you do that, of course, you're not thinking of applying water to it and moving everything around either. So, all right, let's see what I can do here with this. All right, let's see. Okay. Got to use one of these that doesn't have like color in it already. All right, if there's something that you see me doing that I shouldn't be, let me know. You say, put on the brakes there. Don't use it like that. All right, so I'm going in and dissolving some of this. I want it to be kind of washy, and I don't want, some of the areas that I'm adding this to, I didn't want it to get too dark. That was one of the things that I found early on when I was starting to play around. Like, I'm kind of working it from the media down like that to spread it around. But then I thought, oh, I need to be working it from the base up for this kind of cloudier type of look too. So it's kind of playing around with both and then like drying it off and then removing some of that ink too. I find helped out a little bit. And see like this right in here, it starts to get too kind of monotone. So I need to do that watercolor type of technique and like remove it like that, where when it's still wet, again, which I'm not used to doing, I'm not used to having to kind of play around with media like that, because I can usually manipulate something as long as I want to, to an extent with other types of media, but with this one right here, not as much, which is kind of that aesthetic thing about watercolors. It's so kind of more spontaneous. So I'm trying to do, I don't know, maybe I'm trying to get the best of both worlds. I'm trying to have a certain degree of control and with a little bit of that spontaneous type of, watercolory, washy look to it, like right in there. But what I'm asking myself is, I just wonder if I wonder if I'm holding back too much still. Kind of, I'm treating, this medium like other medium, that I'm, and with those techniques, you know. So I don't know. But I think that I don't know. I think that looks reasonably okay. This is the semi-gloss cardstock too, by the way. I mean, it'd be kind of cool if, we can do something like this too, and it looks like you painted it or something like that, as opposed to, just stamped it. Be kind of interesting. I need to learn more kind of watercolor techniques too, where you just kind of do that whole wash in the back. Maybe that's what it needs to do. You need to put that whole wash in the background and then stamp the imagery on top of it, and then, apply the watercolors to it again, the watercolor pencils, and then do a wash, around where the imagery has been stamped. All right, who did those ink tints? So the ink tints, do you blend those colors a lot with the ink tints? And do you create transitions with the ink tints? I'm just curious because I know it's going to be applying more medium than the fine pointed, watercolor pencil, right? I'm just kind of curious because you're probably applying more media at one given time. So is that the portion? Is that why they get so much more intense? Is because there's more media, and then is it one of those things when you apply the water to it, it gets more intense? because I need to play around with those. Okay, right now I'm kind of removing some medium and then also just trying to transition some of this section out down here a little bit more. Let's see. I get some of this water in here too. I got a little bit smudgy right there as I was going around doing that pencil work. I noticed there was a smudge there, so I'll just use that and just kind of spread it around a little bit. Okay, I'm trying to transition this a little bit into this area where I'm going to be applying some of the, this got a little bit too dark in here. Let me remove some of that. All right, I think that should do it here. Oh, maybe not. Here, let me go over here. This is a big open area to not have kind of too much texture in there, so let me bring some of this in here like this. That's better. All right, let's get the gist of what this is going to be looking like. I want to see what it looks like in the reflection. Okay. I think that looks okay. Like so. When you do this reflection down here, if you ever have kind of weaknesses going on in your main scene, it kind of obscures them a little bit, because if you gave this card to someone, or just for me too, if I don't like an area that's going on somewhere, you know, not just on this scene, but just any scene, people are kind of looking down here anyway. So you can get away with a lot of, I don't know, I wouldn't say mistakes, but weaknesses, you know, in these, because people are just going to be, you know, dazzled by the reflective area down here anyway. So it's like dividing up someone's attention as opposed to them just kind of focusing around on kind of specific areas in the main area. In reflection cards, I tend to look down here for some reason anyway. I'm not looking, I don't know, I look up here too, but most of my attention is kind of down here. All right, so let's see. Let's start doing. This is drying a little bit too, so I can see it's a little bit bend. You know, it's bending in certain areas. I didn't put a huge amount of water in there, but let's do this bottom portion now. All right, let me get the gist of where things are going to be reflected. Okay, so I'm going to do it like a little cliff here. I don't know how high. I'll go to about right here. And it'll go down like this. So I'm going to use the boulders with lichen right here. That matches really well with this imagery. Okay, so I'll go like this, and I'll come over a little bit, and maybe I'll have another one kind of over here, or something like that. Maybe not. But in order for this to show up better, okay, because if I just see this black over like silver right here, see if I have it like that, that area right there is really dark, right? So this one's really stand out, black on that tone, right? So I'm going to be doing what I call blocking out on this, okay? Now, if you're going to do this, you just need some white brilliance ink because it'll dry on this surface, okay? It doesn't adhere to it though, okay? But you just spray seal it. You know, you can mask off this other portion so it doesn't get that spray sealant down and makes it a little bit less kind of reflective and mirrored. So you just mask it off and just, you know, spray seal the areas that you need to, okay? All right, so I just re-inked this, so this should be nice and juicy here. Okay. Now I am going to have no problem applying this in an area that's more than where this is going to be stamped out, okay? And it's because when I stamp this out, and then if there's some overstamping of this blocking out, you just take a paper towel and you just wipe it right off and it'll come right off. You know, and that's whether it's wet or dry, okay? It's easier to do when it's dry, actually. So I'll show you how that comes into play. So let's go like that. That's roughly where that boulders with lichen will go. And let's do a little bit over here. This is called kind of dramatic imbalance here. Okay, so when you go like that, it's like heavier on one side and like a small element on the other side. Let's see. I might wait for this to dry a touch, or I can heat set it here just a little bit. I don't want to heat set this for too long because the foil tends to start warping a little bit. It kind of warps a little bit when it's hot, then it kind of goes back. But if you heat it up too much, it really starts to bow. Okay. And then you just counter bow it like that, but I don't want to do too much. And that you don't want to do like a super long exposure with like, especially like with the gold one, because it starts to do that weird kind of rainbowing effect, which you can use to your advantage too. But you know, it's better if it's kind of purposeful. If you don't want it. Okay, so here come the boulders with lichen impressions. Okay. I'm not masking off that first boulder. I'm just overlapping like that. I don't really care. Okay, now that's what I'm talking about with that over stamping of the white. That's just going to get wiped right off. I was wondering if this use of the stays on ink over the top of the white, the brilliance ink, kind of, I was wondering if it might adhere the white ink onto the surface a little bit more, than using, say, something like another brilliance ink to stamp over it, which I used to do. So I'm not sure. Probably not, but I don't know. It might. It might have affixed, some of the white in some little areas, that it's making the impression over. Maybe that's just kind of wishful thinking, because then I wouldn't have to spray seal it so much. Now, when I say spray seal, I mean, you don't have to do a ton of it. Unless you're giving it to some kid that's going to be like rubbing their finger through it or something like that. Okay, so right here, you just kind of take your paper towel and just wipe off the excess amount like this. StazOn's probably dry, but I'm just kind of staying away from it a little, just a touch. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's take a look. This will be shaded, by the way, too. Okay. See how much these stand out now, right over the top of it. I mean, it looks kind of weird right now. It looks super three-dimensional, doesn't it? Though, down there like that. Boy, those sure do look like they're raised above that back surface a lot. All right, the back surface being, you know, the stamping surface of the silver foil. I think they're out of this silver foil right now on where I got it from on Amazon. I hadn't checked it in a while, but all right. So I wonder if I can. I'm going to try something here that I haven't tried before. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend it, but I'm going to see if I can tone in some of this StazOn ink with a cotton ball. I don't think you can. Well, you can a little bit. I think I got like 3 taps of it or something like that. And right here, it's already completely dry on my paper towel. So I'm going to go with my Black Brilliance pad. I haven't used it in a while. Okay. It's like down at the bottom of my stack. Okay. Cotton balls, 100% cotton balls. Flatten it out like this, nice and flat. And just apply lightly, depending on how wet your pad is. You know, you don't want to get a bunch of big blobs. You want to just do a really light application of it, okay? And I'm just kind of anchoring this image in shadow a little bit, okay? So you have your forms that are a little bit lighter and darker within that space, okay? And we'll do it on this one as well. I'm getting fingerprints all over my piece. I get my grubby, oily little fingerprints all over these mirrored pieces. I should have another, I don't know, I should be holding it like this, actually. Okay, that is that. So see, it looks a little bit more dimensional now. And again, let's take a look. Anytime you're doing these mirrored ones, always kind of get your bearings of as far as how things are looking and affecting it. Now see this one right here, remember how light it was before and how it really stood out? Now it's kind of doing more of it's framing better now, like this. Okay, you know, just because it's a little bit more, whatever, vignette, you know, vignetted? I don't know. Can vignette be a verb? Framed. Now, what did it, let me see here. Oh, Linda meant you change your blocks, not stamps, I see. I blend to make the color I need. What size kit of an Inktense blocks do people have? Mine's the 12 pack. Are there like 24 and 48 packs of Inktense? They're permanent when dry. That's interesting. So they're water soluble but then you activate it with the water and then it becomes permanent? Where they're not water soluble anymore? That's interesting. Oh, you blend it in a dish. Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah, I need to practice with those as well, or I need to try them out. Like I said, I think I tried it out once. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do this bamboo branch over here. So this is going to be kind of another element to kind of frame off the piece. We're going to do it with our stays on again. I re-inked my stays on, by the way, before I started this video. I need to remember with stays on, don't hold it down for too long. Like the opposite of like a lot of other inks, because especially on this type of surface that's non-porous, it can kind of dry as you're holding it there. And then you lift it off and a lot of it comes off back on, or whatever, still on the rubber. Okay. That, and I want to go for these trees here as well. So let's see. Which block? Okay. See, I need an intermediate size block because I've got this block here for this, this stamp. There's too much space around on the edge. Okay, here. I need to see if I can use this one here. I don't want to block off too much of what's going on in the background. Okay, so if I stamp it down here, I won't block, well, I'll block off some of that area in there. I don't want to block off anything that's exciting in this top portion, showing right down here, okay? So maybe if I go like right around here with this, I think that'll be okay. Now I'm just wondering if I should just do the bamboo. I might just do I think the bamboo might be better right here. Just coming up from below. And I don't know, I really want to use one of these twisting pines in here too, but yeah, we'll see. Okay, and I'll have another one coming out right here. Just checking to see if I inked up enough of it. Okay, something like that. Let's take a look. Okay. These mountains right in here almost look like, I don't know, like clouds or something like that. I think I might have to stop there. I really wanted to get these pines in here, like an overhanging thing, but that's going to block off too much. I think that's just keeping it simple in the foreground is going to be better like that. All right, so the twisting pines will have their chance. I'll do another scene where I focus it around them. Okay, So let's see here. Let's go for a impression or two with our kind of stronger focal points in here. And I was thinking about this boating fisherman right here and maybe another one in the background. I'll have them kind of coming in like this way, and this one will be in the background going that way. Let me see if that'll look okay. This is how I, trying to figure it out right here. I'm trying to decide if one focal point would look better. Okay, like that. Or I can do another thing. You can do like a, oh. I might have to pause the video. I think a crane right here in the water would look kind of cool. And then you'll have like a little boating dude in the background like this or something. Would be interesting. Let's go real simple. Let's just go with this one right here. All right. I have this a little bit crooked on here. Okay. I don't want to, I don't want to have this angled up, weird. So I'm just kind of lining up the bottom of my block with the bottom of the page. Okay. Go like that. And like this in here. Okay, and hello in Maine. Good to see you, Marta. Oh, let's see. Decisions here. This is people new to the channel, or maybe people old to the channel. Just make up your mind. This is not an instructional piece on this, but an exploratory one. I'm going to add a couple of these little winter twigs down here just for a little bit of variation within these rocks. I love this stamp right here, winter twigs, but I just don't use it too often. But every time I do, it's like, I need to use that more often. Okay. Like that. See, they're right down there. Like so. And then let me look for that crane. I have it either in my unmounted. I'm not sure if I have that set though. Or it's like, oh, luckily it's right here. It's like right on top here. Let's see if it fits in scale though. I mean, I may or may not use it. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see. We can go for a little bit more of a, a little bit of a haze up here too, a little bit of a transitioning tone up there. I need to do that. But let me see. I think I can put this right in here in the water or something like that. I'm not sure. Oh, and then I have a quote stamp too that I wanted to add in the water down here somewhere. If it'll show up, sometimes with these real airy ones with a lot of this white kind of mist, the quote stamp doesn't show up enough. So that's another thing that I just had to kind of see before I did. And I think I am going to add this one down here. I'm going to add this bird kind of behind this. So I'm not going to do like right in here. It's going to be like standing behind this rock right here. Okay. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so it's one of those things. See that little beak right there? Nice, even light pressure, so you don't want to push too much pressure on that beak area right there, especially on, this non-porous type of surface right here where, it's not, the ink isn't absorbing into this, so you don't want to smash it down too much and get like this, like a platypus looking impression from the, I forgot what I called this one. Is it the egret or crane? Okay, like that. One thing about StazOn ink, I never have to worry about using too much ink. It's just too thin, I think, to really build up too thickly on here, unlike a pigment ink. Okay, watch me use too much pressure on this. I'm applying a little bit more pressure around that mask, like that. Okay, so it's it's supposed to be standing behind that rock like that. Okay, I think that looks pretty good like that. See, this one's going this way, it's a little bit left of center, and this one's looking that way because it's on the right side. So I usually have my objects looking into the scene like that, or leading into the scene from one way or another, like about like so. You can almost put something another one like over here though. I'm thinking about more bamboo right here. Let's see. All right, one more impression with this. I think adding that bird on the right-hand side added more kind of visual weight to that side. Not in terms of area, but just in terms of content and something that's going to, draw attention, visual attention into the scene. So I just want to give this side a little bit more of a balance. Okay. Got this. All right, I think that is okay there. What's the weather like in Maine right now? All right, let's let me take a look at this again. I need to see if I want to add in that sun in there. I think I do. It'll add a little bit of drama to the piece. There's our sun right here. Hello, Jeannie. How's it going? My card came out is a little bit bowed, so let's bow it back a little bit. I think I'd go with more of that colored, watercolor pencil on there than I did, but oh well. I mean, I could still add some more in there, but it's looking a little bit light to me. So I'm always saying, you just be bold and, just try things out or whatever like that. But with the watercolors, it's a little bit more precarious for me because you can't, I can obscure it, with my traditional methodology of like covering it up with a little bit more white pigment ink. But the whole idea is to have those real subtle areas down there like that, where it's transitioning. So, so I don't want to do too much manipulation of, the watercolor marks on there. Because it's supposed to look, a little bit more spontaneous. So with other media, I can kind of give it a reasonably spontaneous look, through a more kind of careful, methodically applied application. But I'm not sure if you can do that with the watercolors. Okay, so adding this down, we're just going to go with a little bit of yellow first as a base kind of whatever layer. Like so. And then orange, I mentioned this the other video. Now that applied in a certain at a certain rate and saturation, but now you're applying wet ink over wet ink instead of wet ink on a dry piece of paper. Okay, so just apply this one a little bit slower, from what I've learned here, the past like couple weeks. I applied it too much and it was like I got down here and it's like, oh my gosh, I barely left any of the yellow in there. Okay, so here's this orange. And then here's some kind of red. English red, okay. I just grabbed it because it was like the top red and it was dark. Okay. All right, and I blotted off. I'm removing off some of these darker tones like that, so when I start taking it in here like that, it's not applying such a large amount of that hue. All right, I want to go with a really dry amount like that. And I go dark to light, top to bottom with these suns. I guess you can go either way. I guess you can go dark, light, dark, just so you have some kind of transitioning tone in there. And I don't know. I think it's more interesting, especially for a monochrome scene. So, okay, like that. And let's add a little bit of tone in that background up there. I can probably just do that with some gray dye-based ink. I think that's going to be the easiest thing to do. Let's grab some. They should make all stamp pads stackable, shouldn't they? Some of them aren't, and it drives me nuts. Okay, so we'll go with some London fog here. And let's bring some of this in like this. I just want to kind of cap off the top of this a little bit. I guess I need to be careful about going into that watercolor pencil up top there like that, because I can see I'm dragging out I'm putting some of that watercolor pencil into solution, and it's kind of dragging out a little bit. Oh, this is interesting. Isn't it interesting? This London fog has a little bit of a different gray temperature to it. It's more of like a bluish tinge. Okay, and let's bring some of that down here as well. I'll go into the corners, 4 corners a little bit. And let's go with what I think is a little bit more neutral gray of the Marvy gray. And let's blend that in a little bit more. All right, let me take a look here and see what we have. Okay. Yeah, that crane helped out a little bit, didn't it? And it gave visual interest to that lower section. Okay, let's see here. I was gonna say, I guess it's because I had this bent a little bit here, but I was gonna say that sun is like, reflecting kind of a little bit to the left. Here, let me see, go like that. That sun does look like it's kind of reflecting in a different area, doesn't it? Not directly below the piece. Let me see like this. See, one of the things I like about these types of things too, with the things that are going in the sky, when someone's opening this, there's a little bit of movement to things. Now, this doesn't really work as much. If you have a moon like lower, then it's kind of moving a little bit in the reflection. Okay, now this one's way up top there, but see, I mean, just that little bit of a kind of that reflective area down here. I mean, it makes for an interesting little dynamic right down here to have that kind of out of focus sun right down here. So it kind of creates a nice little silhouette against like these things. If someone's kind of looking around like this, like we mentioned the crane in the foreground like that, if someone's moving around, they're not going to like, hold it like that, with that crane right there with that sun in the background, but they're probably going to do, something like this, when they receive your card, or you can make your own card and do that yourself. But I think that kind of makes for a fun little dynamic there. Someone had made some of these mirror cards and sent them out, and she just, I don't know, I guess I asked her what her recipients have said about them, and she responded on Facebook. She says, oh, but Kevin, you asked me what my recipients said about her, her mirror cards, and she said that her recipients called them special, and they tend to keep looking at them. It holds their attention, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's on, you hope someone enjoys your cards, and you know what I mean. It's just, if you can keep their attention for a few seconds, a half a minute, or something like that. That's it's quite it's something. I mean, when they initially receive something, when they're looking at it, and whatever, it's a hand created piece by us. But then, they put it up and they enjoy it that way too. But I don't know. I think, especially if they haven't received one of these types of things from you before, I think they'll grab it on occasionally and look at it again. It's almost like one of those, like some kind of illusion that's going on. All right, now I'm looking at this. I'm trying to think if I have room for a quote stamp, and I'm not sure if I do. there's a lot of open room in this water area. I mean, I'd have to stamp it like right in the middle here. I think it's going to be a little bit kind of distracting, so let's not do that. All right. So I will spray seal this, but let's just get this mounted up a little bit here, and I will spray seal after the mounting. If I was just doing this outside of a live, I would go and spray seal it first before doing that, but let's just do it right now. Okay, I'm all smudgy right in here. Okay. Or I guess the quote stamp. The quote stamp can really go on the outside of the card, on the, the outer portion. Linda, your mirror cards looked fantastic, your reflection cards. The ones you just posted, of course. Sometimes, you cut out your components of your paper, and they don't fit one way, a little bit, because you fold your cards. So see, I have this little bit of exposed paper down here. So I would just take this. I have a large paper cutter, one of those guillotine style ones. So I just put this whole thing in here, and I cut through all of that at once to make it real flush. It's like, I don't know, I was off by like a 1/16 or something like that of an inch. All right, and let's get this top part mounted. Oh, I almost forgot. I have a couple things to do on this still with the white pigment ink, but I also wanted to apply some of that little bit of a watercolory type of effect to the that little fisherman. Okay, so when doing this, you just go like this, fold it like that, and then just drop this right down into here like so. Okay. And just apply accordingly, like that. So I'm a little bit off right there too. So what I would do is I would just have this open. I'm just going to put that in my paper trimmer and just trim that off too. All right, so let's see. Let's put some finishing touches on this, which I don't think have to be done. I think it looks okay as is, but let's do this. Let's add a little bit of tone to like this little fishing boat right here. And, I'm going to pray that I don't destroy the scene. I'm joking. It is a thought, though, okay? If, when I'm doing these, like, final touches sometimes, it's not like a paralyzing thought or anything like that, but, I don't want to stamp like a quote stamp or something like that, and it, I miss, I don't know, 50% of the letter forms or something like that in there. And there's always stuff to do, if something like that happens. You can just redo it or whatever, but I don't know, but that's always a hassle though, isn't it? Okay, so see that little bit of that watercolor effect like that. So you keep it consistent with everything else that's going on in the scene. If you've modeled a certain, form or whatever, then it's good to model everything in there with some similar type of approach. Okay. All right. And let's take our, let me see if I still have a good white pigment ink cotton ball here. And let's see if we can add in, like I said, you don't have to do this right here. I've been doing those stamp-alongs, just where I want to make everything like really fast. And if it's something, some sort of technique might take an extra 5 minutes to improve something by like 2%. I haven't been doing that on those scenes. And I think those scenes look just fine. But these are the types of things that I really enjoy doing, just as a kick too. I mean, I like the look of it, certainly, but, you know, some of the things, I think improve it quite a bit. Some of the things, it's just like that extra little, I don't know, 5%, change in some kind of visual that's going on. So you can make, you can decide if you like it or not. Or just, I don't know, do a light portion of it. So I'm adding this white pigment ink and taking it on up there from low to high, but I'm not taking it up really high up there. Unless you've made something like so dark that you think, okay, it would, improve it by knocking it down, whatever, 20 or 30% by putting a layer of, white ink over the top of it. Okay, so see this mountain in the background. I'm just kind of pushing it back a little bit by putting some white pigment ink behind it, because that kind of merged in with that a little bit visually. So you can just knock it back in the distance a little bit with a layer of lighter value over the top of it, like so. Okay. And then down here, and kind of that little foggy, cloudy mist in there. You call this the negative space in there. And normally that negative space is filled in with color and tone and texture and other images. I was telling one of my old classmates from, art school, I said, hey, this is like one of the easiest types of scenes you can do, is, that negative space is just basically it's like the white of the paper, which means you don't have to do anything in that space right in there. And it's normal looking, or, it's very conducive for that look, which is really cool, just to have a different kind of type of looking scene or approach to it. As one way that you can do it, this whole area can be much darker too if you want to, with a lot of other imagery. But it's also very natural looking if you don't have anything. All right, so that is that, I think. That'll darken up and it won't look as opaque and white and light, so you might give it one or two other coats, layers as it dries, okay? But let's, I think that looks pretty good here. Let me add in a little bit more, like right in here. It's like the great passageway into the light or something like that. You can even, you can even mute out your sun if you want to by going over it with a little bit of pigment ink. I haven't done that yet, but I was thinking that might be kind of cool to do. Okay, here. I see I need to, if I'm going to add some of it right down in here, let's mask that bottom portion off like that. And this little mist rising over that, hopefully it reflects down in that water down there too. All right, you know how I stamped that bird down here? Let's say there was something up here that's reflecting down here in the reflective area. If it's obscuring kind of what you have down here, and if you want those things down here to stand out a little bit more, then you just lighten it up in this upper portion where it's reflecting lighter now down below. Is one of those little tweaks you can do too. If anything like that ever came up. All right, let's see what this looks like now. Okay. Yeah, look at that. See that little illumination down there with the fog? How it's kind of reflecting in that water? Let's see. I like that look down right at the base there. Let me knock this back a little bit more too. Okay, like that. Let's take a look. Remember, that'll darken up too a little bit, but that little obscure kind of application I think looks okay. And let's follow suit with the fishing boat as well. Okay. So you see everything is kind of going from light to dark, kind of light to dark, you know, or light to dark right here. And even that little fishing boat is light or dark. And then the sun is light to dark, okay? So everything's kind of following the same kind of general lighting convention like that. All right, so someone gets their, you know, their card. Oops, look at that smudgy right there. We'll incorporate that into the scene. I'll stamp out a, you know, bunch of my fingerprints like that, but I'll wipe that off. All right, but anyways, they get the card like that. They open it up like so. It's kind of interesting going from dark to light too, huh? It's like that. It's like the light is on the inside of the card if you have kind of a darker, you know, thing. It doesn't have to be black, okay? But yeah, they open it up like so. There's a little bit of movement. They can see that, whatever, that rising sun or setting sun, like that. You get a little of that parallax right here. You know, with the movement right down here is like more extreme than the movement right there. You know, this goes like, I just rotated it by an inch, but you know, the objects in the center don't move as much because they're in the, whatever, that center of that rotation there. So it's kind of cool. I like the sun. I think the sun helped out there. If you didn't have a sun up there, I think that would have been a good area for like a quote stamp or something like that too, if you had something small enough to go up there. And again, I usually don't like to do word stamps like in an area that's going to be reflected down into the lower section, because it would be reading, how would it be reading? It'd be reading upside down, like in this area here. So the quote stamps, I'd like to stamp them out usually on the water where it looks like it's floating on the water, or I stamp them high enough to where they're not really reading down here. So if you stamp it like up here, you know, it's going to be like the reflective area is going to be like right in here. So it's not really any big deal. All right, so that is it. Gray flannel memento is more gray. Good point. Good tip there, Candy. I never noticed that with the London fog. I don't think in the past. I was wondering if I polluted it with like blue or something like that. But it is a cool blue then. The gray flannel memento sounds like a warm gray to me, almost when I think about it. But it's more of a neutral gray then. I might have to look into that. All right, folks. Yeah, I hope you like this card. I had a big kick doing this one. Practicing too with my watercolor pencils. I'll look into the Inktense usage or whatnot, you know. I have my kit here, so, but okay, so anyways, with this one right here, you can see that little blocking out of the white. Look how dimensional that is, though. Doesn't this really look real 3D right here? So you get the 3D effect, you know, from, you know, this folded card thing, you know, aspect like this. I've just been stamping mostly silhouettes down here, but it's nice to have kind of these objects right down here in the foreground just to kind of, you know, push that kind of illusion going on in there. I guess I need to do that more often. Okay, so just remember what you do is you mask this off. I wouldn't, you know, you don't need to cut out a mask or something like that, but you know, when I'm spray sealing this, I'm just spray sealing it from distance, and I might go with something like this, and I'll just spray from distance. I don't want a harsh line like that or anything like that. I have this, you know, a few inches above my page when I'm doing this, and I just kind of aim for it right there just to get a light coating like that over the top of it. I don't do anything extreme because, like I said, I mean, this isn't going to come off of the surface if you just have, you know, mailing it out to someone, or if you do mail it out to someone you're worried about it, just slip a piece of paper in like this, and you mail it like this, okay? So you take this out. I would have like remove, you know, before viewing, you know, so they take this out of there and pop it open and get that first kind of impression type of thing from that. But yeah, so anyways, but yeah, that's what the Brilliance White. It'll dry on here, but won't adhere, okay? But like I said, I don't think this is going to come off and someone's like rubbing their finger on there or something like that. And most of the times, as far as viewing goes, you know, people are probably going to be viewing this if they put it up on, you know, whatever, on a table or something like that to enjoy it, as opposed to pinning it up like this, you know, like on a, or hanging it up on a, you know, refrigerator or something like that, wherever people put your cards, you know, that you send them. So, like I said, it's not going to be so fragile, you know, that's going to, you know, come right off or anything like that. All right, so anyways, thanks for joining in, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't tried a reflection card or a horizon card, I don't know, play around with that. You know, the format of your cards, and I don't know, make use of that kind of that dynamic of a folded piece, you know, and as far as you know, the potential of viewing things at an angle like that, I think it really gives a lot of dimension to these scenes or just cards in general, and it's really just so much fun to do. I think they're more than just two pieces. I don't know if you know what I mean. There's some parts when you do something like this, you know, as far as movement and kind of surprise goes. So, all right, thanks again, everyone, and hope you have a great rest of evening.